Okay, let's talk about this thing called reference angle. Okay, I really want you to pay attention to this one. It's not hard. It's just that it can get people a little confused at first. But actually, I wouldn't even say that. I would just say it's a little bit more difficult than what you just did. Coterminals are very easy. Okay, now when it comes to reference angles, okay, we're going to be talking about one of these four scenarios. Okay. We're either going to be talking about this, we're either going to be talking about this green angle, that green angle, that green angle, or that green angle. It's going to be one of those four. Okay. I'll tell you what, whoops. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So now, let's look at 37. Okay. Now, and by the way, it's the angle that touches x-axis. Whoops. Okay. Now, what it's not going to be is this yellow angle. Okay. It's not going to be that yellow angle right there. Okay, because that angle touches the y-axis. So it's only the green angles which touch the x-axis. Okay, it's only the green angle which touches the x-axis. Okay, so now let's look right here, okay, at 283. Okay, so we have 0 here, 90 here, 180 here, 270 there, and 360. That ain't nothing new. That's what we did yesterday. Okay. 283 lands us roughly here. Okay. That's 283. Okay. So now, this is how I want you to think about it. Okay. First of all, remember, this is the first quadrant. This is the second quadrant. Okay. Let me change that to white. Okay. This is the first quadrant right here. This is the second quadrant. This is the third quadrant. And this is the fourth quadrant. Okay. So what line is this quadrant in? Okay. The answer is that it's in the fourth quadrant. This line right here is in the fourth quadrant. Okay. So you're going to draw this triangle right here. Okay. We're drawing this triangle because this line is in the fourth quadrant. So we're essentially finding this green angle. Okay, just like we're trying to find this green angle here. All right. So here's how you do it. Okay, here's how you do it. You always start off with this template right here. Always start off with that template. Okay. And the 283, you can put it here or there. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. I'm going to put it in the, let's put it in the first. Okay. 283. Now, really the only hard part is what do you put in this second parentheses, okay? What do you put in that second parentheses? Okay, here is how you figure that out, okay? You're always going to compare it to these three numbers here, okay, to one of those numbers, okay? Now, which number does 283, which yellow highlight does 283 come closest to? Okay, let's pretend we're talking about dollars. Okay, $0, $180, $360. 283, does it come closest? Does it come closest to $0, $180, or $360? Okay, the answer is 283 is closest to $360 out of those three numbers, if those three numbers were your only choices. So we're going to put right here, we're going to put 360, okay? And now we're going to get an absolute value, okay? We're going to get an absolute value of 77 negative, okay? And remember, anything that is negative inside of absolute value becomes positive. Absolute value makes any number inside it a positive number, okay? So a couple things. The first thing, I want to recap, how do we figure out what we put in this second parentheses, okay? How do you figure out what we put in that second parentheses? It's always going to be, out of the three, it's always going to be one of these yellow highlights. And it's always going to be the number that is closest to the angle that's given to you. So 283 is given to you. Which one out of the yellow highlights is closest to 283, or which one is 283 closest to? The answer in this case is 360. Okay. All right. Now let's pretend. So this is example A. Okay. Let's look at example B. Okay. And by the way, why do we choose these yellow highlights? This was the other thing I want to say, is because these yellow highlights, okay, are x-axis numbers. And remember, we're trying to find the angle that touches the x-axis. Okay? We're trying to find the angle that touches the x-axis. That's why we're only looking at x-axis numbers. Okay? That's why we're only looking at x-axis numbers. Okay? Now, let's pretend this was negative 283. Okay, whoops. Let's say it wants you to find the reference angle for negative 283 right here. Okay, this was 283. So now we're just going to go in the opposite direction. Okay, we're going to go in this direction right here. Okay, so this is, remember, positive means counterclockwise, negative means clockwise. Okay, negative means clockwise. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure this one out right here. So now, let's label this. Now we're going clockwise. This is 0, negative 90, negative 180, and negative 270, and negative 360. Okay? Now, negative 283, okay, is going to land us somewhere here. Okay? Now, what quadrant is this in? This is in the first quadrant. Okay, this is in the first quadrant. So we're going to draw a first quadrant triangle here. And we're trying to find the green angle. Okay, trying to find that green angle. Okay, believe it or not, we're almost done. Now, I'm going to draw this template that I always draw. okay? And again, the negative 283, you can put anywhere, okay? You can put it in this parentheses or you can put it in that parentheses. It does not matter. Okay? I'm going to put it this time in the second parentheses just to show you that it doesn't matter. Okay? So, again, if we look at the yellow highlights, okay, boom, boom, boom. I'm actually, by the way, going to write the negative 283 right over here. Okay, I'm going to write it right here. Okay. I should probably, just to be consistent, I should probably write this 283 all the way to the end also, 283. Okay. Now, which yellow highlight does negative 283 come closest to? 0, negative 180, or negative 360? Okay. The answer is that it comes closest to negative 360. Okay. So again, remember here, not again, because this is actually the first time where you have a double negative. This becomes a positive, and if you put negative 360 plus 283 in your calculator, you will get negative 77. And remember, any negative inside the absolute value becomes a positive. Okay? So there you go. All right? And that basically is reference angle. So anytime you have a positive reference angle, okay, anytime you have a positive reference angle, do it like the top, okay? Anytime you have a negative, okay, it's asking you to find a negative reference angle, go ahead and do it like the bottom, okay? All right, folks, that concludes the lesson.